The Nebula Awards annually recognize the best works of science fiction or fantasy published in the United States during the previous year. The awards are organized and awarded by the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers of America, a non-profit association of professional science fiction and fantasy writers. They were first given in 1966 at a ceremony created for the awards, and are given in 4 categories for different lengths of literary works. A 5th category for film and television episode scripts was given 1974 €78 and 2000 €09. The rules governing the Nebula Awards have changed several times during the awards' history, most recently in 2010. The Nebula Awards have been termed as one of the most important of the American science fiction awards. Winning works have been published in special collections, and winners and nominees are often noted as such on the book's cover. SFWA numbers the awards by the year prior to the year the award is given in. The 2012 awards were presented in San Jose, California on May 18, 2013, and the 2013 awards were presented in San Jose, California on May 17, 2014. Award: The Nebula Awards are given each year by the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers of America for the best science fiction or fantasy fiction published in the United States during the previous year. The winner receives a trophy but no cash prize. The trophy is a transparent block with an embedded glitter spiral nebula and gemstones cut to resemble planets. The trophy itself was designed for the first awards by J. A. Lawrence, based on a sketch by Kate Wilhelm, and has remained the same ever since. Works are eligible for an award if they were published in English in the prior calendar year. There are no written rules as to which works qualify as science fiction or fantasy, and the decision of eligibility in that regard is left up to the nominators and voters, rather than to SFWA. Nebula Award nominees and winners are chosen by members of the SFWA, though the authors of the nominees do not need to be members. Works are nominated each year between November 15 and February 15 by published authors who are members of the organization, and the 6 works that receive the most nominations then form the final ballot, with additional nominees possible in the case of ties. Members may then vote on the ballot throughout March, and the final results are presented at the Nebula Awards ceremony in May. Authors are not permitted to nominate their own works, though they can decline nominations, and ties in the final vote are broken, if possible, by the number of nominations the works received. History: The first nebulas were given in 1966, for works published in 1965. The idea for such an award, funded by the sales of anthologies collecting the winning works, was proposed by SFWA Secretary-Treasurer Lloyd Biggle, Jr. in 1965. The idea was based on the Edgar Awards, presented by the Mystery Writers of America, and hosting a ceremony to present them. It was prompted by the Edgar and Hugo Awards. The initial ceremony consisted of 4 literary awards, for novels, novellas, novelettes, and short stories, which have been presented every year since. A script award was also presented from 1974 to 1978 under the names Best Dramatic Presentation and Best Dramatic Writing, and again from 2000 through 2009 as Best Script, but after 2009 it was again removed and replaced by SFWA with the Bradbury Award. Prior to 2009, the Nebula Awards employed a rolling eligibility system. Each work was eligible to qualify for the ballot for 1 year following its date of publication. As a consequence of rolling eligibility, there was the possibility for works to be nominated in the calendar year after their publication and then be awarded in the calendar year after that. Works were added to a preliminary list for the year if they had 10 or more nominations, which were then voted on to create the final ballot. In 1970, the option was added for voters to select no award if they felt that no nominated work was worthy of winning. This happened in 1971 in the short story category and in 1977 in the script category. Beginning in 1980, the eligibility year for nominations was set to the calendar year, rather than December or November as initially conceived, and the SFWA organizing panel was allowed to add an additional work. Authors were also allowed to use the mass-market paperback publication of their books as the beginning of their nomination period, rather than the initial hardback publication. As a consequence of the combination of this rule and the rolling eligibility, The 2007 awards, despite nominally being for works published in 2006, instead were all given to works initially published in 2005. Beginning with the 2010 awards, the rolling eligibility system and paperback publication exemption were replaced with the current rules. Categories: beside the Nebulas, several other awards and honors are presented at the Nebula Awards ceremony, though not necessarily every year. Two of them are annual literary awards voted by SFWA members on the Nebula ballot, the Andre Norton Award for Outstanding Young Adult Science Fiction or Fantasy Book, inaugurated 2006, and the Ray Bradbury Award for Outstanding Dramatic Presentation, which replaced the Best Script Award in 2010. The others are the Damon Knight Memorial Grand Master Award since 1975 for Lifetime Achievement in Science Fiction and/or Fantasy, the Author Emeritus since 1995 for contributions to the field, the Kevin O'Donnell, Jr. Award for Service to SFWA, and the Solstice Award since 2009 for significant impact on speculative fiction. All four are discretionary, but a Grand Master, selected by the officers and past presidents, has been named every year for more than a decade. The Solstice Award may be presented posthumously. In all, 12 have been awarded in 5 years to 2013. Recognition: the Nebula Awards have been described as one of the most important of the American science fiction awards, and the science fiction and fantasy equivalent of the Emmy Awards. Along with the Hugo Award, the Nebula Award is also considered one of the premier awards in science fiction, with Laura Miller of Salon terming it science fiction's most prestigious award, and Justine La Balestia, in The Battle of the Sexes in Science Fiction, referring to it in the Hugo Award as the best-known and most prestigious of the science fiction awards. Brian Aldiss, in his book Trillion-Year Spree, The History of Science Fiction, claimed that the Nebula Award provided more literary judgment while the Hugo was a barometer of reader popularity, rather than artistic merit, though he did note that the winners of the two awards often overlapped. David Langford and Peter Nichols stated in the Encyclopedia of Science Fiction that the two awards were often given to the same works, and noted that some critics felt that the Nebula selection reflected political as much as literary ability, as it did not seem to focus as much on literary talent over popularity as expected. Several people within the publishing industry have said that winning or being nominated for a Nebula Award has effects on the author's career and the sales of that work. Spider Robinson in 1992, as quoted in Science Fiction Culture, said that publishers pay careful attention to who wins a Nebula Award. Literary agent Richard Curtis said in his 1996 Mastering the Business of Writing that having the term Nebula Award on the cover, even as a nominee, was a powerful inducement to science fiction fans to buy a novel, and Guyan Wilson, in First World Fantasy Awards, claimed that noting that a book had won the Nebula Award on the cover demonstrably increased sales for that novel. There have been several anthologies collecting Nebula-winning short fiction. The series Nebula Winners, published yearly by SFWA and edited by a variety of SFWA members and renamed as the Nebula Awards Showcase Series since 1999, was started in 1966 as a collection of short story winners and nominees for that year. The sales of these anthologies were intended to pay for presenting the awards themselves. The anthology The Best of the Nebulas, edited by Ben Borver, collected winners of Nebula Awards from 1966 through 1986 officially selected by SFWA members. The unofficial anthology Nebula Award-winning novellas, edited by Martin H. Greenberg, contained 10 stories which had won the Novella Award between 1970 and 1989. See also: List of joint winners of the Hugo and Nebula Awards, List of science fiction awards. References. Citations: Aldiss, Brian. Wingrove, David, 1973. Trillion-Year Spree, The History of Science Fiction. Paladin. Pages 349. ISBN 0-586-08684-6. Bacon-Smith, Camille. Science Fiction Culture. University of Pennsylvania Press. ISBN 0-8122-1530-3. Card, Orson Scott. How to Write Science Fiction and Fantasy. Writer's Digest Books. ISBN 0-89879-416-1. Clute, John. Langford, David. Nichols, Peter, ed. The Encyclopedia of Science Fiction. ESF Limited. Curtis, Richard. 15 inches. Mastering the Business of Writing. Allworth Press. ISBN 1-880,559-55-2. Franson, Donald. DeVore, Howard. A History of the Hugo, Nebula and International Fantasy Awards. Misfit Press. La Balestia, Justine. The Battle of the Sexes in Science Fiction. Wesleyan University Press. ISBN 0-8195-6527-X. Wilson, Garland, ed. First World Fantasy Awards. Doubleday. ISBN 0-385-12199-7. External links, official website.